Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video in a fairly warm but rather cloudy UK. Apparently the temperature is about 26 degrees Celsius, so it says on my laptop. Obviously back in another video. I hope everyone's well wherever you are. And as I said in my previous video, it's one of my sister's birthdays today, and she's very much into ethical issues. I suppose I am as well, as I said before, but we have different ideals about how, or different ideals, shall we say, about the methods or methodology of how to help more disadvantaged people. Like, she's more socialist, left-leaning and that kind of thing, whereas I'm more someone who believes in libertarianism, but we should choose to help each other rather than be forced into it, or rather than the state or the government, whatever, state/government doing so. So anyway, this video, basically, other than me waffling, it's supposed to be about ethical enterprise. Like, I want to ask a question, really. It's mainly supposed to be a question, really, to ask the audience, potential audience and that kind of thing, what you think businesses, enterprises, or whatever you want to call them, could do to be more ethical. I normally like to stick to certain themes, so like Tuesdays, as it is the Tuesday day, on Tuesdays normally I like to stick to business and banking ideas and that sort of thing, capitalistic ideas. But as it's my sister's birthday, I thought, and she's more into the socialist sort of thing, I thought, in honor of her birthday, as I say, I thought I'd talk about ways, ask the question, basically, of ways to make businesses more ethical. I think it would be great if businesses, for instance, invested in parts of Africa and Asia, and island colonized countries, and what I call the Six, which I've talked before about. But yeah, I'd love to hear other people's ideas about what could be done more ethical, and not be arrogant enough to think I know all the best ideas or whatever. Basically, I would love to know what you think are the best ways businesses could be ethical, like investing in poor areas, for instance, or whatever other area, whatever other ideas could be developed to help businesses to become more ethical. Like, what could they do to be more ethical? One thing I thought about, actually, was, I nearly forgot to say it, but I was thinking, like, countries involved in war, maybe easier said than done, but countries that are involved in war, there's some sort of boycott against any country that was involved in war. Obviously, it'd be easier said than done. I wonder how many consumers would be prepared to do that, and I wonder how many consumers would really be able to do that, because companies that lobby for war, or countries that are involved in war, if you look at, like, China, for instance, they sell things very cheap. So I suppose unless you're prepared to sell to spend more on products, it would be hard to do, obviously. But, well, even if you are prepared to do it, it probably would still be a bit difficult, because you'd have to spend more on what you buy. And obviously the reason why I mentioned China is because they're involved in Taiwan at the moment. But obviously Russia and countries like that, I want to be a bit careful what I say, not to offend anyone. But the reason why I say to boycott countries involved in war, as well as companies that lobby for war and things like that, is because of the fact that I think that this could make, well, if it worked, obviously, well, if it would make peace, because countries will look at their bottom line and see that actually we're having huge boycotts against us because we're involved in wars, we're invading other countries and things like that. So if something like that was somehow put into practice in the future, and people were prepared to spend a bit more on their products, if necessary, or whatever it took, perhaps to buy from countries that are not involved in war. So if there's products on the shelves, you look at companies that don't lobby for war, or that are not involved in any kind of wars, or that you think are ethical generally, or even countries that say, mainly it's actually the latter, countries that are not involved in war, and perhaps try and buy from those. But I'd love to know, as a consumer, would you be prepared to go? I suppose we're all consumers at some stage. We all have to buy something at some stage, but would you be prepared to boycott, possibly even if that meant spending more money on your products, knowing that that is contributing to peace, which perhaps in the longer term could mean lower energy bills, cheaper gas, electricity, and whatever else, because there were less wars going on, as well as the civilians and the casualties in those countries that are involved in war. I suppose war affects entire ecosystems, probably trying to sound smarter than I actually am, but entire systems, ecosystems, and whatever, of trade. So I'd say energy. I got to admit, I don't know how that works like that, but the more wars there are, the more we have to pay for things like energy, gas, electricity, and whatever else. As far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure that's the case. So if we could cut back on war, and maybe that's part of like consumer boycott or whatever else, if enough people join and share this video and perhaps made their own videos and talked about this issue, and maybe made an organised boycott of countries that are involved in war, whichever countries there are. I suppose people are patriotic, so it'd be hard for Americans or British people to boycott their own country, perhaps, if they're involved in war in some way. But I'd love to know, would you be prepared to buy from countries that are not involved in war if it meant you paid a bit more, especially in the short term, which in the longer term might mean not only, as I say, casualties are reduced in countries that are involved in war and we have a more peaceful world, less pollution, less wars, less violence, more building things and growing things rather than destroying things. Again, that would also make us, and it would also make us have cheaper prices in the longer run. And someone who loves peace, I am very passionate about promoting peace. And as I say, one of my ideas is sometimes maybe even to boycott both sides involved in war, like people around the world outside of America and China, possibly outside of Taiwan as well, might, let's say, out those three countries, let's say, or even if people feel that behind the scenes, America doing things that instigate China, again, I should be careful what I say perhaps, but if you feel that that America's agitating China and China is overreacting or whatever, if you feel both sides are doing bad, or even just that it would make peace, even if you don't blame either side, you just say that we're going to just boycott any country that's involved in war. Would you be prepared to do that? And what companies do you think are ethical? How can a company prove that they're ethical? Because a company can say it's ethical, obviously, but how do you know that what they're doing is actually ethical? So I thought I'd ask this question, and sorry if I went on a bit longer than I planned. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I tried to keep it as short as possible, short and sweet. If you made it this far, thanks so much for checking out my video. And thanks for any of you who support my channel. I really appreciate it. And peace and love. I'm out.